What's up, Interweb? RhyQuinn here, and welcome to my CBL draft analysis. This is the Competitive Battling League, I believe, original name. And I'm bringing you guys my draft analysis for this league that I have joined. I am still the Nidoqueens Park Rangers, and I'm going to be bringing you guys my draft analysis for this league that I have just joined. Now, this league uses the GBA draft style system. And I figured this was an opportunity to use some stuff that I hadn't really used before, some stuff that I really wanted to use in the format that I hadn't got the chance to just yet. So I wanted to join this league, especially as I said before, as the OBL has now cancelled. I'm still going to be having my OBL matches just at a later date. I figured this would give me a nice opportunity to try out some ones that I hadn't tried out before and see, you know, get my hand in for other ones in the format. So this is the GBA draft system, so for those of you that are unaware of that, you have tiers for each Pokemon. You have to have a Mega Pick, and you have to have, as standard, you have to have one Tier 1, Tier 2, 2 Tier 3s, a Tier 4, and a Tier 5, and a Mega. And then you have 400 points to get 4 other Pokemon, the free picks you can see on the screen right now. You have 400 points to get 4 Pokemon. Tier 1's worth 180 points, Tier 2 is 120 points, Tier 3 is 100, Tier 4 is 60, and Tier 5 is 40. So that's how much each mon from each tier costs, and you have to get 4 Pokemon, so you can't just spend like 180 and then just leave it. You have to have 4 Pokemon, so you have to spread out your points working that way. But if you get a lower tier Mega, because Megas have their own tiers, if you get a lower tier Mega, you get extra points to put towards those 4 Pokemon. And that was something that I really wanted to explore, because I didn't really want a tier 1 Mega. Even though I got the second draft pick overall in the draft. It's a normal snake draft, you know, going back and forth, with 16 teams in this league. And I didn't really want a Tier 1 Mega, even though I had the second pick in the draft. I could have got something very, very good indeed. What I really wanted to test out was a Tier 2 Mega. I had a couple in mind that I really wanted to go for. And I built a couple of draft plans around these mons, and by the time the draft came around, I was leaning towards one particular one. So I had a Mega in mind that was going to be Tier 2, so I was working off the basis that I had 440 points to spend on those 4 Pokemon rather than 400. So, as I said, I had the second pick in the draft overall, and what I originally wanted was a pretty solid base core. What the concept I wanted around it was a lower tier Mega, so I had more points. What I really wanted was Hazard Stack plus really dangerous threatening options that are very easy to use. So mons that you come in, you click one move, and it just does a lot of damage. Because, you know, I'm a bad player, I need those mons that are very easy to use. So that's originally what I wanted. I wanted Hazard Stack, and I wanted very, very ow mons. Of course, with potential setup and things like that as well. Obviously, the standards in each team are Fairy, Dragon, Steel, Fire, Water, Grass, all that jazz. I still wanted all that. Just, you know, that's the base concept that I wanted was Hazard Stack plus very, very ow powerful threats. So, going into the first pick on the team, a mon that I really wanted to try out that I haven't had the chance to use that I think is very versatile, one that I can use very well, is Jirachi, which is what I picked first. Second pick of the draft overall, I draft Jirachi. Base 100 across the board. You guys have heard enough about Jirachi at this point, and I'm not just going to be using T-Wave Ironhead. I'm not that kind of player. Jirachi is very, very versatile. It gives me, you know, some hazards straight off the bat in Stealth Rocks. It gives me some nice support for the team if I want it in Wish. And it's, I believe, aside from Smeargle, the only one that gets unstabbed Draco Meteor. So, you know, that's fun. But yeah, very versatile mon, and one that I'm looking forward to using quite a lot. Of course, can be offensive, defensive, of course, as all the base 100 Pixie mons can be. So I'm looking forward to seeing what Jirachi can do for this team. Gives me some hazards right off the bat, and gives me some support. So, along with Jirachi, I knew the mon that I wanted to draft with it, but as I had the second pick in the draft, I based my next pick off what I thought the person that's going to be picking next to me was going to be picking. Because obviously he has the wheel pick, and he drafted, I believe, Mega Lopunny first. So I was thinking there was another mon that I wanted that I originally wanted to draft third, that I decided to draft second, because I was thinking that it was more important to get this mon than my third mon, since I kind of knew what the next guy would be picking. I could see the way his team was going. So, the second one that I drafted on this team was Tyranitar. There's another tier 1 pick. Tyranitar, so it's my first free pick, as it were, costing me 180 points for this one. Now, Tyranitar gives me another thing that I really wanted, and that's Residual. Gives me Sandstorm. Obviously, Sand is not going to be the greatest for my team, based on, you know, the other things that I draft. But getting that residual damage for that concept that I wanted, it was to bring those mons that just you click one move and it just does a lot of damage on basically everything. Having Sand residual damage is going to be really, really nice. Get that crucial chip damage in combination with another Stealth Rocket that I've got in Tyranitar, and it's very versatile move pool. It's a very viable band, Spec, Scarf, AV, Chopple, any Pasho, Rindo. It can use anything really. Any kind of item you want on T-Tar, it can run it. Gives you some nice support for the team. A Pursuit Trapper gives me, as I said, another Stealth Rocket. That Sand Residual being the main thing that I really wanted from T-Tar. It's just a very good mon on its own, regardless of, you know, having a Sand Sweeper go along with it. It's just a very good mon on its own, and I had no plans to draft a Sand Sweeper along with this thing, because I didn't really want one, honestly. I didn't think I was going to get Excadrill, and I couldn't even afford Excadrill in combination with Jirachi and T-Tar, because that's 3 tier 1 Pokemon which I literally couldn't afford. And I didn't really want something like Sandslash or Stoutland. I've used Stoutland in the past, didn't really want to use it again in Sandslash while being okay. Wasn't really on my radar of things I wanted to get, because I had a pretty solid draft plan that I wanted to stick to. So then, after I picked Jirachi, Tyranitar. The reason I wanted Tyranitar, by the way, is because, as I said, I believe the first pick of the draft was Megalopony. Of course, a very good partner for Megalopony is Tyranitar, giving him a very solid Pursuit Trap and things like that. So I was thinking he might have drafted T-Tar, so I wanted to get in T-Tar before my the guy picks it for his wheel pick. He did his wheel picks and it came back to me, and he didn't pick the next mon that I wanted, so I managed to get him for my third pick, Salamence. Now, I know Salamence is a very, very solid partner for Jirachi. Gives me 2 parts of that Fairy Dragon Steel Core, just missing out on the Fairy, and Salamence is a mon I've wanted to use for ages. Gives me another base 100 speed stat, gives me some very solid offense, some intimidate, bulky, offensive, whatever I want it to be, Salamence can do. It even gets Wish, that's fun. Gives me some hazard removal in Defog. Of course, Defog probably not the hazard removal of choice if I'm doing spike stacking, but you know, it gives me some nice options for it, and that's something I really, really wanted. So Salamence is a cool guy. Shardy's been saying forever that it's possibly one of the best dragons in the format, and it's only tier 2, so I wanted to try it out and see if it's as good as he says it is. As I said, can be, you know, defensive with Intimidate, can be offensive with Moxie, can be offensive with Intimidate, who knows, to allow you to have that setup. Very spooky setup in Dragon Dance. Once you get set up, there's not much that can stop you, so I'm looking forward to using Salamence. Should be good fun. So building on from that, we have the first snipe of the draft. Originally, what I wanted for my tier 3 pick was Roserade, because Roserade gives me some more hazard stacking options in T-Spikes and Spikes. Gives me a grass type that I wanted, and good speed stat, very offensive if I want it to be. So I really wanted Roserade, but unfortunately, I got sniped out on that one by Carson. And so I had to go for my backup grass type that I wanted, that's also tier 3, and I went with Tangrowth. So Tangrowth is a very solid one that I've really wanted to use for a long time, having very solid stats for its HP, attack, defense, special attack. Special defense being lackluster, but being one of the best Assault Vest users in the game, allowing it to really buff up that special defense stat and be a very, very solid wall in combination with Regenerator. You know, it being able to wall out things to no end, basically. So I'm very happy to get Tangrowth, very versatile mon. And I'm just hoping it can put in the work like I wanted to, but I knew I needed to adjust my plans, because I did want a poison type and I wanted something that could set up Toxic Spike, so I knew I was going to have to adjust my plans, because Roserade was a really crucial part of it, but unfortunately I wasn't able to get that. So I'd have to readjust my plans. So we moved on, and moved on from Tangrowth, and the next mon that I really wanted is another one that I've really wanted to use for a long time, and something that can be very, very ow indeed, and that is Reuniclus. Reuniclus is a great mon. I really have been, you know, looking at it for a long time on many seasons, and just seeing what it can do in different hands, and it's a very good mon. Regenerator, Magic Guard, Overcoat, all very solid abilities depending on the matchup for each week, having very solid defensive and offensive stats, and being able to have setup in Acid Armor and Calm Mind, and who knows, maybe I'd bring both like Mono, who swept me with it. But I'm not salty about that. Also, it gets Trick Room, which is great fun, being able to make things extra spooky like Tangrowth and Tyranitar. Makes those guys kind of spooky as well. So Reuniclus, very cool mon. I'm really looking forward to using it. Base 125 special attack is nothing to mess with. And that was a tier 2, tier tier 3 pick, so I was quite happy to get that one. Yeah, I think it's a very solid mon, and looking forward to using it. So, next mon that I went for on the team, I wanted a spinner, essentially, and originally, again, another snipe, I wanted Hitmontop, because it's a bulky spinner, it's a very reliable spinner, gives me another Intimidator to go alongside with Salamence, and it's just the one I wanted, gives me a fighting type, which I really wanted, and unfortunately I couldn't get Hitmontop, that got taken, so I went with Hitmonlee. Obviously not the same thing, not bulky in the slightest. It is bulky on the special side, I should say. Base 110 special defense, but it does only have base 50 HP. Base 53 defense is hilarious, but it can be very, very offensive at the same time. It's a good offensive spinner. Having base 120 attack, 87 speed, making it very solid wall breaking speed, and it's just a very solid mon. Having reckless high jump kicks, has unburden to make it absolutely sanic quick if I really want that, and getting limber as well, so I can't be paralyzed if things want to try and T-wave me and things like that. You know, it's got some very solid abilities, things that I'm looking forward to using, and as I said, it gives me a spinner, which is what I really wanted. So, yeah, that's Hitmonlee. I've used it before in the past, really enjoyed using it, so I'm looking forward to using it again. So, next pick on the draft after Hitmonlee. As I wanted a water type, and originally what I wanted was Gastrodon, because I wanted a bulky water type, and Gastrodon gets Sand Force, and I would not ruling out bringing Sand Force with Tyranitar, so I wanted Gastrodon just for kind of memes. Gives me an electric immunity as well, which I really wanted, so that would have been nice, but unfortunately got sniped. Got sniped out of Gastrodon, so I ended up going with my backup pick, which was Jellicent. Jellicent's a very cool mon, very bulky water type, base 100 HP, 70 defense, 105 special defense, very specially bulky and can be very solid physically bulky as well. Obviously, Scald, always great. Could possibly bring Scarf Water Spout as well. Mono did it in PPL, worked very well, so, you know, looking forward to using Jellicent. Very bulky, gives me a Will-O-Wisp user, which is great. First one I believe that I've drafted so far on the team. And, you know, just spreading burns around is going to be great. Willow Hex is a nice little combo. Gives me a water immunity as well, in combination with mons like T-Tar, and gives me a Scald switch in, which is really great. So, yeah, Jellicent is definitely one I'm looking forward to using. Hoping to use it not just, you know, as the bulky Scald user, but could potentially bring it offensive as well. Just a solid mon all in all. Also gives me a spin blocker, which is going to be great if I'm trying to hazard stack. If I can get a spin blocker in, it's going to be fantastic. So, Jellicent really fitting on the team well, I feel. Let's move on to the 8th pick. Next one that I wanted to get on the team, this was the replacement poison type that I wanted instead of Roserade, because I wanted a T-Spiker and a Spiker. So I went with Garbodor, which is a tier 5 pick. Drafted that in, and it's a cool mon. I've seen quite a few people use it. The main thing I'm going to be using it for is spike stacking, but it can be do a lot of things as well. It has that weak armor if I really want to go that route to make it like, you know, an offensive powerhouse. If I really want it, it can buff up its speed, which is base 75 is okay wall breaking speed, I guess. Base 95 attack is pretty decent, especially with the likes of like a stab gunk shot. It's very, very powerful from a Garbodor. Having things like Drain Punch to try and buff up its HP in combination with Black Sludge as well for recovery. It's just a pretty solid mon all around. 80, 82, 82 defensive stats are pretty decent. And Poison not being the worst defensive typing in the world, resisting quite a few types like Bug and Fighting, which are quite nice, which can be quite spammable. It's just a cool one. I'm looking forward to using it. As I said, it's just that replacement Toxic Spiker and Spiker that I wanted to get in, so that's what Garbodor is mainly going to be there for. And then the 9th mon that I wanted on my team was I wanted an electric type, but I went with a very cheap electric type because I had the rest of my plans in place at this point. And I wanted something that was a bit quick as well, because I was lacking a little bit in speed. The fastest thing on my team right now is base 100 with Salamence and Jirachi, and again, they're not always going to be offensive, so I wanted someone with a bit more speed, and I went with Raichu, which is a tier 5 electric type. Base 110 speed is very, very solid, gets, you know, nasty plot for the setup on the special side, still has base 90 attack though, so I can run a physical one if I really want to, has insane coverage because of all the events that they've done for Pikachus and Raichus over the past, has access to things like extreme speed and surf and fly, I think. It's ridiculous stuff like that. But it's a cool one. I'm looking forward to using Raichu. Very versatile with, and I'm looking forward to seeing what matchups I can, you know, to take that to, and seeing how versatile I can make it in the matches coming up. 10th pick on the team. Now this one originally, I made a bit of a boo-boo on my plans, and I made my plans based off the assumption I still had 400 points, even though I knew I wanted a tier 2 Mega, and at this point I believe there were only 2 people that hadn't drafted a Mega, and my Mega hadn't been taken, me being one of those 2 people. And I knew my Mega hadn't been taken, and the other person that hadn't taken his Mega was Carson, and I knew what Mega he wanted anyway. So I knew I was categorically going to get the Mega I wanted, so I could take that, you know, dead last. So I was still working off the assumption that I still had 400 points to play with instead of 440, which I should have with the Mega I wanted. So I was looking around at fire types, and I saw Blaziken for tier 4, I think, something like that. Yeah, and I was like, Blaziken's a cool guy. Yeah, I'm down to use Blaziken, solid wall breaker, very good fire type, gets agility set up. I was like, yeah, that's a cool one. I could use that. But then I realized with the extra points I had, I could go up a tier. With extra 40 points, I could go up to tier 3. And I went into tier 3, and I saw a fire type. I was like, oh, this fits in with the whole click a move and it does a lot of damage thing. And this one that I've used before in the past is Darmanitan, which I got in. Darmanitan had not been taken at this point, and I drafted it in for my 10th pick. I managed to get in Darmanitan, and I was very, very happy to do so. Anyone who knows my previous history with Darmanitan knows I brought it to 2 games in the PPL, and I got 8 kills with it. And I'm not saying I'm going to repeat that again, because that's probably a one-off, but Darm is very spooky. You know, you click Flare Blitz, and it does a lot of damage. Sheer Force boosted from base 140 attack is nothing to mess with. Base 95 speed, making it very viable Scarfer, if not a wall breaker. It's just a very, very solid one all in all, and I really, really like using Darmanitan. I'm looking forward to using it again. Alright, so now we move on to the Mega that I wanted from the start of the draft. As I said, I was the last person to pick this, to pick a Mega, along with Carson as well, but I knew what Mega he wanted. And see if you guys can work out which one I want here. I wanted something that was quick, because my fastest thing so far is RhyQuinn at base 110, so I wanted something faster than that. I wanted something that was a very specially offensive threat, because so far my special threats include basically Reuniclus, and then I have a few mons that can be special, but don't necessarily want to be, like Salamence, Tangrowth, Tyranitar, Jirachi, you know, things like that. So Raichu, even though Raichu is a special attacker, it's not necessarily the strongest one, even though it does get special setup. So I wanted something that was straight, specially offensive, something that was very quick, something that has a move that I can just come in and click it and it does a lot of damage. So I went with Mega Pidgeot. Mega Pidgeot was my Mega choice for this draft, and I'm very happy to get it. It's one of those ones, base 135 special attack with no guard hurricanes. Yes, please. That's going to be fantastic. So that's what I really wanted with Mega Pidgeot. And it just does the things it does, you know. I've seen Tup use it in PPL, it did very well. You kind of have to look at a team, say, where's your switch in, and you know they're going to bring that specific mon for it, because Mega Pidgeot just forces building that way, in the same way that Darmanitan does, in the same way that T-Tar does, and Salamence does. They just force team building in a certain way, so you can exploit your opponent's team, because you know what they're going to bring. So that's something that I really wanted in Mega Pidgeot, and I feel like it's a very solid mon. It's a really cool Mega, something that I've wanted to use for a long time. Very underrated Mega, so I'm hoping I can use it well and make it not so underrated. But yeah, that is my draft all in all. What do you think of my draft? I'm very happy with it all in all. This is probably one of the better drafts that I've done ever, so I'm really looking forward to it. My main issue, I think, with me building with this team is that there's almost too many threats. I'm going to find Pokemon that do work each week, and we were like, I can't pick 6 of them, because I feel like there's going to be so many mons that do so much work each week that it's going to be hard for me to pick 6 and pick the right sets each time. That's going to be my main issue with building this team, I feel. Slight lack of hazard removal as well, I know. Hitmonlee with Rapid Spin and Salamence with Defog. Again, they don't really want to be running their hazard removal all the time, but they do have the option to do so, so we'll have to see how that one goes. Obviously, my team is not super weak to hazards. You know, Mence and Darm being weak to rocks, and Mega Pidgeot, I suppose, being weak to rocks. But I do have Jirachi to resist it. Reuniclus has the Magic Guard. Tangrowth having the regen, so not really too affected by it. So there's things that don't really mind it too much. Garbodor there to soak up the toxic spikes. Mega Pidgeot being immune to the spikes and Salamence. So I'm hoping it shouldn't affect me too much, but we'll have to see how that one goes. What do you think to my draft? Let me know in the comments what you think of this draft. The way the CBL works, though, is going to be there's 4 divisions of 4 teams, and you play the other 3 teams in your division. The top 2 teams go on to like a tournament kind of thing, so it's kind of like a round robin stage, like a pool stage. Then it moves on to like a tournament stage, single knockout. So I'm hoping I can get past the first 3 games. That'd be great. If I can finish top 2 in my division, that would be awesome, but we'll have to see how that one goes. All these games will be played on Showdown and they will be uploaded, so look forward to those. If you enjoy my draft, make sure to leave a like on the video and make sure to leave a comment with what you think of it. And if you're looking forward to my CBL games, let me know. Show me the hype on the like button, show me the hype in the comments, and hopefully I'll see you guys sometime soon. Toodaloo.